Eumeralla has a really deep significance for me personally.
I had goosebumps, there were tears. I know that many other people had similar responses. I've been to thousands of concerts in my life, and this was one of the most electrifying.
Resistance wars were fought all across this country. Some people call them the frontier wars. Of course, for Aboriginal people, it wasn't a frontier. Along the Eumeralla River, the squatters of the time, they wrote to the governor of the day and they said, we're having trouble with all the blacks, they won't move. And the governor said, convince them. And that was code for just shoot at will.
Eumeralla War Requiem for Peace is a very significant work on a number of levels. It's a fascinating work because it takes the Catholic requiem mass and translates the Latin text into the Gunditjmara dialects. And through that process, the work engages in the reconciliation process.
This translation by Vicky is quite a landmark work because before it, the actual grammatical use of language had almost disappeared. Most of the hard work is done by the conductors of the choirs, of course, but really it comes back to that source material, and we're so very lucky to have had this wonderful translation by Vicky Cousins. The University of Queensland Orchestra and the chorus and the voices of Birralee and Talia, our beautiful mezzo-soprano, and Don Bemrose, who's a Gunditjmara man, so he's coming back home to Queensland, and myself, alongside Dhungala Children's Choir.
It was not an easy process. Deborah herself is the first to admit the difficulties of the piece. The students had to learn this piece without a reference point, without a kind of oral library of what the piece sounds like that they could aim for. They had to imagine how it would sound in their heads just from using the score, and that's a really difficult thing to do. And they pulled it off incredibly well, and I was very proud of them. It is a major landmark cultural contribution to the process of reconciliation. It's designed deliberately to allow Indigenous and non-Indigenous Australians to perform alongside each other.
Here is an access point into a part of our history that many people don't know anything about. In order for us to actually fully mature as a nation, we must understand it. It's a huge story. I think that I could only ever have hoped to approach it through music.
Music certainly can't change the past, and it can't directly affect the material conditions of First Nations people today, but it can create the conditions for awareness, for understanding, and for connecting people that might allow change to happen.
If I get one person, and hopefully it's many more, but even one person questioning, why didn't I know? That starts to shift the conversation. That starts to help us to heal that wound of this part of our history that really, it's left a wound that needs to be healed. And I think music can do that.